The subconscious initiates choices before conscious awareness. And this idea reshapes how we understand the human mind, free will, and the process of manifestation itself. For a long time, it was assumed that conscious decision-making is at the heart of human experience. We are taught to believe that our thoughts guide our actions, and that the choices we make arise after careful consideration, logic, and reasoning. However, modern neuroscience, combined with deeper insights into psychology, has revealed that the subconscious mind is already active long before the conscious mind believes it is making a choice. This suggests that decisions do not originate at the surface level of awareness, but emerge from deeper, hidden processes happening underneath. One of the most well-known experiments that support this idea comes from the work of neuroscientist Benjamin Libet in the 1980s. Libet conducted studies where participants were asked to perform a simple voluntary action, like pressing a button, while their brain activity was monitored. He discovered something shocking. Brain activity, known as the readiness potential, appeared several hundred milliseconds before the participant reported being consciously aware of making the decision to act. In other words, the brain had already prepared to move before the individual felt like they had chosen to move. This means that subconscious processes are at play before the conscious mind even realizes a choice is being made. Later studies extended this time window, showing that brain scans could sometimes predict decisions seconds before people became aware of them. This overturns the traditional assumption that free will begins at the moment of conscious decision-making. What this implies is that the subconscious is a powerful driver of behavior, and it works continuously beneath the level of awareness. While the conscious mind is focused on immediate tasks, the subconscious is constantly processing information, interpreting experiences, and setting patterns of response. It is like a hidden operating system that runs most of the functions of our daily lives. From automatic habits to emotional triggers, from how we perceive opportunities to how we react under stress, the subconscious is silently pulling strings. This means that by the time the conscious mind tries to take credit for a decision, most of the groundwork has already been done at the subconscious level. Understanding this dynamic also reveals why many people feel that manifestation works mysteriously. Manifestation is not just about consciously visualizing or deciding what you want. It is about aligning the subconscious mind with those desires. If the subconscious initiates choices first, then it acts as the true gateway to reality creation. For example, someone may consciously want success, but if their subconscious is filled with doubt, fear, or limiting beliefs, those hidden programs will influence their actions before they consciously choose them. This is why people sometimes self-sabotage or find themselves repeating cycles they consciously want to escape. The subconscious initiates the pattern before the conscious thought arises, and the individual feels caught in a loop they cannot explain. The role of the subconscious in decision-making is not only about internal choices, but also about perception of the external world. The subconscious filters information from the environment, deciding what enters conscious awareness and what is ignored. Out of the billions of bits of sensory data processed every second, the conscious mind only perceives a small fraction. That selection is heavily influenced by subconscious conditioning. If the subconscious is primed to expect rejection, it will filter reality in a way that highlights rejection. But if it is trained to expect abundance, it will highlight opportunities that lead to abundance. Thus, the subconscious not only initiates internal choices, but also shapes the external reality we perceive as available to us. Another way to understand this is through the lens of habits and learned behaviors. Habits form when repeated actions are internalized by the subconscious. Over time, the subconscious takes over the execution of these actions without requiring conscious effort. Consider how a person learns to drive. At first, every action is conscious and deliberate, but later, driving becomes automatic. The subconscious steps in, initiating actions even before the driver consciously thinks of them. This automatic behavior is not limited to skills like driving. It extends to emotional responses, social behaviors, and even career or relationship choices. The subconscious sets patterns in motion, and the conscious mind simply rationalizes those choices after they occur. The implications of this understanding stretch into neuroscience, psychology, and even spirituality. In neuroscience, it emphasizes the layered structure of the brain and the dominance of unconscious neural processing. In psychology, it validates the importance of therapies that work with the subconscious, such as hypnosis or cognitive reframing, which aim to reprogram the underlying belief systems. In spirituality, it aligns with teachings that stress the importance of inner alignment and belief as the root of external manifestation. In all these fields, the common message is that true change and decision-making do not start with conscious thought, but with subconscious patterns that precede it. The subconscious also has a vast storehouse of memory and intuition that influences choices. While the conscious mind can only hold a few pieces of information at once, the subconscious can access years of experiences and subtle patterns that escape conscious notice. This is why people sometimes describe a gut feeling that later turns out to be correct. The subconscious had already processed relevant information and initiated a direction before the conscious mind could logically justify it. What feels like intuition is often the subconscious guiding decisions based on prior knowledge, acting faster than conscious reasoning could. Quantum particles reveal outcomes before observation, and this challenges the very foundation of how humans understand cause, effect, and decision-making. In the classical view of physics, reality exists in a predictable, mechanical way. An object has a definite position, speed, and trajectory whether or not someone is watching it. This worldview dominated science for centuries until the rise of quantum mechanics in the early 20th century shattered those assumptions. At the quantum level, particles like electrons and photons do not behave like solid objects following fixed paths. Instead, they exist in states of probability, existing as waves of potential outcomes until observation collapses them into a specific reality. This means the outcome is not fully determined until there is interaction, and astonishingly, it appears as though the universe somehow knows the observation before it takes place. One of the most famous demonstrations of this is the double-slit experiment. In its simplest form, particles such as electrons or photons are fired toward a barrier with two slits, with a screen placed behind the barrier to record where the particles land. If both slits are open and no one observes the path of the particles, they create an interference pattern on the screen, suggesting that each particle behaves like a wave, going through both slits simultaneously and interfering with itself. However, if a detector is placed to observe which slit the particle goes through, the interference pattern disappears, and the particles behave like solid objects, going through one slit or the other. What is deeply puzzling is that the mere act of observation changes the outcome. The particle seems to decide whether to act like a wave or a particle based on the presence of observation. This mystery deepens when considering variations of the experiment, particularly the delayed choice and quantum eraser experiments. In these versions, the decision to observe or erase information about the particle's path is made after the particle has already passed through the slits. Yet the results still reflect the choice of observation, as if the particle adjusted its past behavior to fit the future measurement. It appears as though the outcome is not locked in until observation, and even more shockingly, the universe anticipates what kind of observation will occur. This raises profound questions about the role of consciousness, measurement, and time in shaping reality. If outcomes are not fixed until observed, and if the particle can retroactively align itself with the observation, then reality at the quantum level is not a static backdrop, but a dynamic interplay between potential and awareness. These discoveries have far-reaching implications beyond physics, because they suggest that reality is not a predetermined structure existing independently of observation. Instead, observation participates in bringing reality into being. For centuries, humans assumed that the world was out there, existing in full detail, whether noticed or not. Quantum mechanics undermines this by showing that outcomes exist in a superposition of probabilities until collapsed by observation. This means that before the conscious mind decides or perceives, there's already a quantum field of possibilities arranging itself toward a certain outcome. In a way, The outcome is revealed before the mind makes its choice, because the field anticipates and responds to observation in a way that defies linear logic. This concept resonates with the idea of manifestation, where intention and attention appear to influence outcomes. If particles themselves are not fixed until observed, then human awareness has a participatory role in shaping reality. The act of focusing on a certain possibility can collapse it into being, much like the double-slit experiment shows the collapse of probabilities into a defined result. This suggests that the alignment of thought, expectation, and focus may have a measurable impact on the reality that unfolds. The subconscious, which initiates choices before conscious awareness, may also be tied into this quantum process, with intentions forming beneath awareness and aligning with potential outcomes before the conscious mind recognizes them. Another layer of this mystery is the phenomenon of quantum entanglement. When two particles become entangled, the state of one instantly determines the state of the other, regardless of distance. This connection occurs faster than the speed of light, which challenges classical notions of causality. Einstein referred to it as spooky action at a distance. Experiments have consistently shown that entangled particles behave as if they are a single system, even when separated by vast distances. The implications are staggering. Reality at the quantum level is interconnected beyond space and time, and outcomes are coordinated in ways that defy linear cause and effect. This interconnectedness further suggests that the universe operates on principles that precede conscious decision, weaving connections before awareness even intervenes. Quantum mechanics also introduces uncertainty as a fundamental principle. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle states that certain properties of a particle, such as position and momentum, cannot be known simultaneously with absolute precision. The more precisely one is measured, the less precisely the other can be known. This is not due to flaws in instruments, but is intrinsic to nature itself. Reality at the smallest scales is inherently uncertain, existing in ranges of possibility rather than fixed certainty. This uncertainty means that outcomes are open-ended until they crystallize, and the crystallization depends on interaction, measurement, or observation. The unfolding of reality, therefore, is not a passive background process, but a dance of probabilities that resolve in alignment with observation. The philosophical implications are immense. If particles reveal outcomes before observation, then reality is not waiting for the mind to decide, but is already entangled with awareness in ways that transcend linear time. What humans perceive as choice may be the conscious recognition of an outcome that the quantum field has already begun to arrange. This blurs the line between the observer and the observed, suggesting that they are part of the same continuous process. It also raises the possibility that intention, expectation, and subconscious influence are part of the mechanism that determines which probabilities collapse into lived experience. Manifestation begins in the unseen field, not in the mind's decision, and this perspective brings together the mysteries of quantum physics, psychology, and ancient wisdom traditions in a unified way. Human beings are taught to believe that decisions arise from conscious thought and that outcomes are shaped only by effort and visible action. Yet, the deeper we look into both science and experience, the clearer it becomes that the visible world is only a surface expression of something far more subtle. Just as a tree's visible form depends on roots buried deep underground, manifestation in reality depends on an invisible field of energy, potential, and subconscious alignment that precedes conscious choice. The conscious mind may think it is the originator of action, but the unseen field is where the process of creation actually begins. The unseen field is not just a poetic metaphor, but a concept rooted in the discoveries of modern physics. Quantum theory describes the universe as a field of probabilities where particles exist in superposition, holding multiple possible states simultaneously until an interaction collapses them into one. This field of possibility exists prior to and independent of conscious awareness. It is an invisible web of potential outcomes, and what becomes manifest in the physical world emerges from this field. When people talk about manifestation, They are really talking about aligning themselves with one of these potentials so that it solidifies into lived experience. The unseen field contains all possibilities, but attention, emotion, and subconscious intention act as the tuning fork that selects which possibility becomes reality. This explains why manifestation is not solely about conscious decisions or logical planning. Someone may decide consciously to achieve wealth, success, or love, but if their subconscious and energetic state is aligned with lack, fear, or unworthiness, the unseen field responds to those deeper signals. The subconscious programs carry far more influence than surface thoughts, because they operate at the level where reality begins to take shape. This is why repeated affirmations or conscious willpower alone often fail if they are not accompanied by a shift in underlying beliefs. The field responds not to what is declared outwardly, but to what is resonating inwardly. What people truly believe, expect, and feel beneath awareness is what influences which probabilities collapse into reality. This perspective also aligns with ancient spiritual traditions that emphasize the invisible over the visible. For centuries, mystics have taught that the physical world is an expression of unseen forces and that energy precedes matter. Practices like meditation, prayer, and visualization are designed to influence the unseen field, aligning inner states with desired outcomes before they appear externally. Modern science now provides a framework that resonates with these teachings, suggesting that manifestation is not a mysterious or magical process, but a natural consequence of interaction with the quantum field of potential. By recognizing that reality begins unseen, individuals gain access to a deeper level of creative power than they might imagine possible through conscious decision-making alone. The unseen field is not limited to quantum particles. It also operates in the subconscious mind, which processes information far beyond the capacity of conscious awareness. Neuroscience has shown that the subconscious governs most behavior, habits, and responses, often making decisions before the conscious mind is aware of them. In this sense, the subconscious is a personal dimension of the unseen field, constantly filtering information, directing attention, and shaping behavior in alignment with its programming. The field of manifestation exists both outwardly in the quantum universe and inwardly in the subconscious mind. Both layers interact seamlessly to generate experience, and both layers operate before conscious thought claims authorship of decisions. When people experience intuition, synchronicities, or sudden inspiration, they are tapping into the unseen field. Intuition often provides guidance that seems to arise from nowhere, but in truth, it is the subconscious or quantum field presenting possibilities that the conscious mind has not yet analyzed. Synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences that seem too precise to be random, also point to the operation of an unseen order beneath surface events. Such experiences reveal that manifestation is already unfolding beneath awareness, creating alignments and opportunities that only later become visible to the conscious mind. Be why paying attention to these subtle signs, individuals can recognize that the unseen field is always at work, shaping the flow of reality long before logical decisions are made. The role of emotion in this process is especially significant. Emotions are energetic signals that influence both the subconscious and the quantum field. While thoughts may fluctuate quickly, emotions carry a stronger resonance and act as magnets for corresponding experiences. A person who consistently vibrates with gratitude, joy, or abundance sends signals into the unseen field that align with similar outcomes. Conversely, someone locked in fear, resentment, or scarcity sends signals that call forth more of the same. This is why emotional alignment is often emphasized in manifestation practices. It is not about forcing reality through conscious decisions, but about resonating with the frequency of the desired outcome so that the unseen field organizes itself accordingly. Scientific analogies can help clarify this point. Just as a radio tuner selects one station out of countless invisible frequencies in the air, the human mind and heart select one probability from the infinite field of possibilities. The unseen field holds all outcomes simultaneously, but only the ones in harmony with subconscious patterns and emotional signals become manifest in experience. Conscious decision alone is like twisting the tuner knob without setting it precisely. It may create static rather than clarity. The real work lies in fine-tuning the subconscious and emotional resonance so that the chosen reality can emerge cleanly from the field. This view also shifts the understanding of responsibility and empowerment. If manifestation begins in the unseen field, then individuals are not powerless victims of external events. They are co-creators, participating in the shaping of reality through their inner states. Even when external circumstances seem overwhelming, there remains a deeper level of influence in the unseen field, where possibilities can be shifted. Aligning with this field requires awareness, introspection, and practices that quiet the noise of the conscious mind so the deeper signals can be felt and directed. It is here, beneath awareness, where true manifestation begins, long before any outward decision or action takes place.